What's up, party people? Glad to be back with you. Back with you, ladies and gentlemen. Getting over a little sickness here. I was out hustling, doing the Postmates, making that rent money. You know what I'm saying? So we're doing what we can out here in Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Out here hustling up the rent money. Doing Postmates, delivering Postmates to aggravated white women in giant mansions. And doing what we can. Mm-mm-mm. Oh boy, we're gonna get into this insane R. Kelly shit a little bit, and you know, just the whole like. Apparently, he's got Apparently, there's a video circulating on that. I haven't watched the documentary yet, but apparently there's some video of him like openly admitting while he's fucking a 14-year-old, and then like he goes on the news and has this big interview and is crying and denied it. Y'all about to ruin my life, this insane shit, dude. It's it's crazy to watch. And then he's got like his two simultaneous girlfriends going on there and doing a separate interview saying how they love him no matter what, and they're sticking by their man. And dude, all the potential crimes aside, those are my brainwashing goals. All right, to have two fine ass women, um, you know, fighting over who supports me more in a national televised interview over about my potential sexual misconduct, but they're still, of course we love him. We fight over sucking his dick at the same time, and it's just like, God damn it, R. Kelly, you sicko bad motherfucker, you're terrible, but I at the same time I weirdly respect the gangsta. It's like, what type of dick hypnotism are you doing, bruh? That is just oh, I need to watch the documentary because like I don't know. There's apparently some sick and twisted things Mr. Robert Kelly was involved in, and he used to be about singing those melodic R&B tunes, and now he's just about controlling when his girls are going to the bathroom and eating dinner, and that's dictating the life cycle schedule there for his captives, and they have fully, been bought into the Stockholm syndrome of the wonderful Mr. Robert Kelly. And I think we can all expect some more installments of Trapped in the Closet from R. Kelly. He's going to come out and proclaim his innocence, in a new installment of the I'm trapped in the closet. What a girl says she's only 14 years old. She blames me for the whole thing, but it's all her choice to be here. None of it rhymes, but you're captivated for the entire thing. uh, She said she was only 14, but she knew that wouldn't stop me. Robert, that's terrible. You can't do these things. This is called civilization. God damn it. Welcome to the stream, Testy. Glad you're hanging out. We're talking about all kinds of shit tonight. I wanted to talk a little bit about Kylie Jenner, how ridiculous she is. I'm going to talk about pissed off white women accepting my Postmates deliveries. We talk about Jussie Smollett and how he needs to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We're going to talk about white women in high heels and why women want to look taller. Um, we could start on that, I guess. I'm mystified why any woman would want to look taller. Because to me, like height is a masculine trait. Like that. I'm not attracted to that. Like you, I don't know, man. Like, why do women want to look taller? Like, you walking around trying to look sexy and you're off balance and shit, hurting your ankles and like, and I'm just looking at you like, and he's like, you're like trying to look sexy and shit. Oh, doesn't my ass look better? And it's like, not really. Your ass is looking how it's looking. You're either doing squats or you're not. I'm just wondering why we're at eye level. Why am I looking up to you? This is like, nothing makes my dick go softer faster than like looking up to a woman. Like, bitch, I'm 6'2". Why the fuck? I don't. There's a reason I don't watch the WNBA. All right. None of these tall bitches are attractive, man. You ain't got no room for curves when you stretch a bitch out that tall. That's not. And trying to look taller is just weird. You're walking around on stilts thinking you're sexy. What is that, dude? I don't get that. That's like for short dudes who like to hang out with dominatrix chicks who abuse them. Apparently there's a big market out there in LA for that. Old, rich, white, short dudes who like getting abused by black women in heels. I know some of the women who do that kind of work, and it's super interesting that there's a market out there for it. That guys can't wait to, get kicked in the balls or pissed on or humiliated for their Saturday night entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. That's, it's interesting. But some women are out here making a living out doing it, and more power to you, girl. Do your thing. You empowered woman, all right, in your goddamn 6-inch heels. Speaking of the WNBA, women's sports are getting a lot more interesting nowadays. That trans women seem to be taking them over. I think that's a definite good strategy for women's sports to get better ratings, is to let men who are wearing wigs join in on the fun. And I'm all for it, dude. I'm all for it. Juwanna Man, if you know that movie, was it was a spoof comedy in the 90s, but now people are going to look back on it like, interesting documentary. Really captured the times there. Ahead of its time, actually. And, I wouldn't mind making Juwanna Man, the documentary version, all right? Because I had hoop dreams growing up, but I didn't develop fast twitch muscles. I didn't grow to be 6'6" plus, Didn't work hard enough to get to the actual league there, so I wouldn't mind, throwing on a wig and dominating these bitches in the WNBA, dude, crossing hoes up. All right? Making them fall down and just, getting 30 points a game, dude. I want to get in on that action, get in on that progressivism. I get my progressive points. I get my victimhood status as a trans woman, and I get 30 points a game, bruh. I'm crossing these hoes up, dude, breaking ankles, all right? Because I got a male musculature, I got testosterone, I got a male skeleton, dude. I'll be taking them in the post. Shaq Daddy on that ass, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a possibility. Let's do this thing. But then, I figure they can't just let actual men come in and just wear wigs and dominate, because then the goddamn WNBA is just going to turn into the NBA D League, and It's going to be a little weird, ladies and gentlemen. So I figure the WNBA is going to come in with some kind of stipulation that you actually have to go through with the gender reassignment surgery, you know, and enforce chopping that cock off, which is unfortunate, you know, if they would police that. You know, Mr. Jordan, you can't, you're dominating and it's unfair. You got to get rid of that cock. You know, you've got to take estrogen, and I would probably try to hide it, you know, like the UFC fighters and the baseball players hide taking steroids. I would hide still having my penis in the WNBA. I'd try to tuck and tape it, you know, like Einhorn and Ace Ventura Pet Detective, dude. Try to tuck and tape that thing, but then they'd catch me in practice with my tight shorts on, like, we see it poking out the back, Mr. Jordan. You didn't go through with it, did you? You're poking out the back, Jordan. God damn it. Just trying to get 30 points a game, baby. Trying to get on an all-star team in this WNBA game, man. What is the deal? Y'all are transphobic. That's what it is. I see what the fuck is happening. Transphobia. You know? They make you go through with it. They make you go through with that cock chop, and then you got the Ken doll flesh wall situation down there. And dude, it's all bad, man. It's all bad. Testy, where are you from? I haven't seen you on the stream yet, but I'm glad you're here hanging out and shit, Mr. Active Commenter. Oh, you up in Canada? You up in Trudeau land? Trudeau's in some hot water right now, man. He's boiling like Kermit the Frog, like Jordan Peterson there. He's talking like Kermit and shit. Oh, Miss Peggy? He's boiling, dude. He's in that hot water. They're coming after him for that corruption charge and shit. You know, you can only be a Castro-praising wannabe dictator who pretends to be a socialist, limp-wristed, you know, humanitarian for so long. They seem to be coming after him, you know. I'm just confused why Kylie Jenner has so much goddamn money, ladies and gentlemen. I got to be honest. I drive around, you know, and I see she has a rented out billboard on Santa Monica and La Cienega here in Hollywood. And it's just her every time, you know, advertising her makeup line, who she designed none of it. She invented none of the makeup and gets all the credit for it based on a bunch of fake body parts that have been constructed to form her. She's a Voltron thought. She's been formed like Voltron. What up, Callie? And none of her body parts are natural. And it's like, nobody gives a fuck. She's just been like, she might as well be a sex robot. Put together, she's a fuck bot 3000. Put together for, to get black men's dick hard. I think that's, she's definitely still hot, but it's like, when you get up close to her, do you see like the seams like on your laptop? Like, is she fucking deconstructible? Why are the surgeons that did this masterpiece called Kylie Jenner, they're not getting any credit? All right, she's the one up on the billboard all by herself, as if she constructed herself. The surgeons should be up there posing shit too. Yeah, we did this shit. The fucking surgeons should be getting some shine, dude. They're not, nobody knows their name, you know? I want to see, that should be like a primetime, like, medical show like ER, is Kylie Jenner's surgery team. You know, because she's a fuckbot, you know? She gets routine hardware updates, I think like every week, you know? They have to go in and do something different. Plump them lips up a little more, widen out the pelvis, you know, make room for more ass, you know. She got to go in for them weekly hardware updates, bruh. And, you know, that don't stop, you know, the hangouts with the girlfriends. You know, she's on FaceTime, you know, with the girlfriends planning up meeting for brunch and shit while she's getting her weekly hardware updates. Girls, I'm just getting my pelvis widened. Don't mind me, I'm all doped up on laughing gas here. It's and in the background you hear like power tools and shit. You know, fucking widening that pelvis out. And the surgeons get no credit, dude. It's all Kylie. Kylie's the youngest billionaire ever. Oh, isn't she fantastic? It's like, she has no talent, like, never, like, contributed anything to the fucking planet. But she's like, female icon. Oh. Oh, dude. I don't understand it. Oh, dude. It's absurd, man. It's absurd. I haven't heard anything new about the Jussie Smollett situation. I don't know if he's actually getting charged with something or not. You know? I don't know. I think he should, because they had identified 2 suspects, and he didn't know it was the weight throwing Nigerian brothers that he knew, and knew, I assume intimately there, his weightlifting partners. Before he knew it was those 2 that they had in custody, he was willing to, you know, identify him. If they would have pulled like 2 innocent white dudes off the street, he would have been like, yeah, it was them. Those are the MAGA country motherfuckers. They tried to lynch me, you know. So he wouldn't have been outed as a liar. He would have tried to keep that story going, dude, and put 2 innocent white dudes away on some hate crime shit. Could you imagine if, like, he tried to do that and, like, the 2 innocent white dudes were sitting watching him on ABC crying about the fake lie he was putting out there? It was horrible. Oh, tell us more, Jussie. Don't fight back the tears. I fought him. I'm like the gay Tupac. Oh, it was terrible. You know. And the innocent white dudes being put in jail for the shit. I watched him like, is this real life? What the fuck? What is wrong with this dude? He had a perfect life. He's on TV. Yeah, nobody knew his name. Nobody really gave a fuck. And he's trying to, this is a publicity stunt, but god damn. He is really milking this shit. He was bored with his, you know, his acting, his acting, you know, accomplishments to that point. He wanted something really challenging, dude. He was pull the wool over everybody's eyes right in on live TV. This is going to be the performance of a lifetime. Fuck Shakespeare. All right, I'm going on ABC and blaming Trump for a hate crime that never happened and putting 2 innocent white dudes behind bars, ladies and gentlemen. The gay Tupac. I can't deny it. I got excited when them Nigerians grabbed me. Yeah, what up, Nicholas? Nicholas Quintanilla. With the best last name in the game right there, son. Quintanilla. Hoping that $3,500 Jussie spent on training helps him in jail, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, dude, it's he needs to go away. He needs to go away because that's some like trying to like stoke racial tensions and fucking profit off of it at the same time. This publicity stunt and satisfy the narrative that Trump supporters are these evil racists. Meanwhile, the people on the left are the real racists because they fundamentally look at black people and gay people as less than. Like, oh, they're always victims. They're always oppressed. The white man is just out to get them constantly. The fucking straight white males, they live to oppress. And so the left-wing Democrats have to come in and save them because they can't fend for themselves. Black people, without the leftist Democrat intervention, they would just roll over and die in the street, ladies and gentlemen. And gay people would be getting curb stomped left and right if it wasn't for Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi stepping in like the super caped crusaders of civil rights, stepping in and stopping the evil white oppressors. Oh God. If it wasn't for the Democrats, the black people would just perish immediately. That's an actual racist viewpoint that people on the left have, that black people need their help constantly or else they'll go extinct. Oh, they couldn't live without them. Versus the people that they call racist, which includes a lot of libertarians and people who just want freedom and small government, and people who just want to be left the fuck alone. They don't want to fund these horseshit government programs that are supposed to help oppressed people and poor people, and always end up just exploiting them for their own gain. And so that's the actual racist viewpoint, is to, pander down to these people and say, oh, it's wrong. And like in comedy, oh, it's wrong to punch down. You can't punch down at the oppressed classes. You can't make fun of anyone who's in a marginalized group. And it's like, you're the one who's deciding that they're marginalized. Like, we just had 8 years of a black president. Are they marginalized? Like, R. Kelly has 2 girlfriends and he's a multimillionaire. Is he marginalized because of his skin color? No, it's like, you can accomplish whatever the fuck you want in 2019 America. You just got to put the fucking work in and not rape people and not fuck 14-year-olds, all right? And then everything's all good. What's up, Vanessa? So quick to believe that BS story. Like, when has Chicago ever been MAGA country? Yeah. They ran with it because, it seems like an orchestrated event. It seems like it came from higher on up because, at the same time Cory Booker and Kamala Harris were pushing that anti-lynching bill, which is like, oh my God, could there be anything more pressing and needed in 2019 America than an anti-lynching bill? I mean, that's one of the main problems I run into while I'm walking around Hollywood. I just see, people hanging from trees with nooses around their neck, and it's a real epidemic. Everybody's out here getting lynched, and it's just appalling. Why can't we have an anti-lynching bill? All right, and that's the problem. If people knew that lynching was bad, if we had an anti-lynching bill, nobody would do it. We need the government to step in and outlaw lynching. God damn it. Just like they outlaw, weed smoking in Oklahoma, where I'm from. And that prevents everyone from smoking weed. All right. If we write it down on paper and the politicians say that it's bad, that will stop it from happening. Just like gun control. I know there's, more guns than there are people in America, but if we just write down on a piece of paper, David Hogg knows this. I like to take my policy advice from 17-year-old prepubescent boys, and he knows that if we write down that you can't have that gun, then it will disappear. All right? There are no black markets. All right? That's a myth. You can only get what the government permits you to get. I know people talk about, you can get, drugs in jail and this and that, but this conspiracy theories. There are no black markets. Al Capone did not exist. All right? Prohibition worked. All right? We need to prohibit more things. Doing a little satire here, Testy. It's okay. It's okay, Testy. I'm glad you're engaged. Yeah, isn't lynching already illegal? Yeah, it's the same thing with hate crime. Like anything that's a hate crime, like would already be a crime. Like like how are you like are you if you kill somebody like if a white person kills a black person, it's murder either way. But if like we're gonna stack a hate crime on top of that because it was extra bad because different skin colors. Okay. It was extra bad murder because different skin colors. Okay. When you have two crayons of different colors attacking each other, that's extra bad. All right. Congress is useless. Absolutely. I 100% agree. I'm writing a screenplay right now about, and I'm calling it The Swamp. And it's like kind of a comedy horror satire where like, you know, the people of Congress are being controlled by this alien creature that like, you know, makes them do these evil things. And there's this nice innocent politician. He's kind of like Trump. He's a total outsider, but he's not bombastic or like arrogant at all. He's kind of just humble and naive, and he's like a good guy, good family guy. And he comes into Congress, and he slowly like learns how evil everybody is, and like they're trying to blackmail him constantly. And it's like the story is like him discovering how evil they are, and like this evil creature who's like controlling their brains and shit. And so it's gonna be good. It's little comedy horror mashup there, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to get that thing done and shipped out to these people out here in Hollywood. I've been sending my scripts around to everybody and anybody who will read them, and you know, it's content is king out here. So I just got to keep writing and keep getting better and keep fucking churning the wheels, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. I need to get back on stage. I've been getting over a little cold here and out hustling up this rent money. And, you know, I smoked a little weed the other night and came up with a bunch of premises. And, you know, we're going to get back to work, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, baby, I got characters for days. Are you kidding me? Like me to be the haughty British person who doesn't want the British people to leave the EU. You don't want Brexit. You don't want Brexit. You don't know what you really want. The EU knows what you want. You are the emblematic population of the British people, and you will not be free. You will do what the EU says you do. The EU is your brain. We are your spinal cord there. We make all the decisions for the people in Britain. The people of Britain don't control their own destiny. No. Oh, no. The EU will control them. Another layer of bureaucracy is what everyone needs, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the more bureaucracy we have, oh, the more delightful and delectable it is. Reparations, another big point the left brings up. Do you think 40 acres and a mule will still do? How about just some freedom? Freedom, ladies and gentlemen. That's, you know, that's why everybody wants to come to America. We still have some semblance of a free market here. And black people can accomplish whatever the fuck they want, ladies and gentlemen. They can do whatever the fuck they want. All right? They can do what R. Kelly did, minus the 14-year-old fucking. You know, they could, train them singing pipes and do some smooth talking on the microphone. And then they could have 14 different girlfriends, and nobody's going to stop them. All right? As long as they're all over 18. Keep your girlfriend stables above 18. All right? That's all you got to do. And don't get caught trapped in the closet. What a girl says she's only 14 years old, but I'm a famous R&B singer, so she don't care. I got millions of dollars. Ooh, I decide when she eats and sleeps in peace. R. Kelly, don't destroy me, America. I'm just learning, I believe I can fly. Don't you love my song? Dude, as long as you're really talented, people will put up with a lot of shit. People denied all the weird shit going on with Michael Jackson for a long time. Having sleepovers with little boys and shit. God damn it, Billie Jean was really good though. I mean, Thriller was goddamn dynamite, ladies and gentlemen. People will put up with a lot of your bullshit if you got some talent to back it up. All right, Testy would fight Michael Jackson apparently, or are you talking about R. Kelly? I feel like Michael would be a little easier fight, considering he's a corpse at this point. What else we got going on? This was weird. The Warner Brothers CEO getting investigated for sexual misconduct. This Asian gentleman, Tusehara. I have no idea how to say his he's like a Japanese dude. Apparently, this actress, this like 21-year-old actress, like she got hooked up through these producers and they set up a meeting with the Warner Brothers CEO guy, and she like expected to get all these movie roles out of it. And she fucked this guy, and then she wasn't getting as many movie roles as she expected from the fuck transaction there. And so then she threatened to go like public with it and say that he like did something shady to her. And it's like, man, this is such a weird time with all this casting couch weird shit out in Hollywood, where it's like it's just open now. Women are like trading sexual favors for for roles in movies, and it's so like, I guess people always knew this shit was going on, but it's like so just creepy. It's always these short, like, beta weirdo guys that are, like, getting positions of power, and then they're like, I'm gonna get all the pussy now. And it's like, that no matter how much power you have, or how much, like, money you have, or how much influence you have in the entertainment industry, it's like, those super fine alpha women are not going to find you attractive, bruh. It's just not going to happen. But you're trying to do this like transactional exchange with like giving girls opportunities and roles in order to fuck you, and it's like, that's not going to satisfy you ultimately anyway. She doesn't want you for you. She wants you to get something else. You're like a stepping stone to something else. And it's like, it's just bad on both sides. Like, it's always, the men are evil, and it's like, this patriarchy, and it's like, but the women are complicit in the shit too. They're not being held at gunpoint and make it in, you know. Yeah, exactly, Vanessa. She made a choice. I mean, that's an option out here in Hollywood. Like, oh, I know you're trolling, Testy. I appreciate a little trolling here and there. You spice up the stew. You know what I'm saying? We got thick skin here at Outrage TV. We don't give a fuck. You know. I'm just saying what's on the tip top of my mind here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just free balling, hanging out, ladies and gentlemen. Having a good fucking time, drinking some natural light. A real American brewed ale, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have another one with you. Oh, feel free to throw out some topics. I'm just browsing Drudge Report right here. Talking some shit about everything. Kids set for nationwide climate strike from school. Ooh. A bunch of retard kids are out striking for the climate. The world is going to end if we don't strike. Oh. Adults won't take climate change seriously, so we, the youth, are forced to strike. Oh. Perhaps we take it seriously if there was any serious data behind it. Instead, it's a bunch of government-funded scientists with nerdy computer models who are pretending they can predict what the weather is going to be like in 10 years. Meanwhile, the local weatherman can't get the shit right in the next 10 days. Oh, we were wrong. It rained today. Our bad. But New York's going to be underwater in 10 years. Believe me. Believe Al Gore. And it's the same government. It's the same scientists that get government money for the grants they need to do their experimentation and do their, you know, fake little science experiments there and end up providing nothing of value, but they still take home the money. And so they want you to pay some carbon taxes to finance their masturbation, their their beaker, you know, fucking Pascal's wager masturbation. All right? They want you to finance it all. What's up, Skeezer? Says, see, these are the same scientists that say hurricanes are on the rise when over the last 10 years it's been the same amount. Yeah, it's just, you know, all the weather events are like, everybody knows about them now because they're trending on Twitter. And all the news is like unified. And so, you know, the media is so multinational now that everybody gets all the news all at one time, all at the same time. And so it's the same thing with these shootings. Like, everybody thinks like, oh my God, it's an epidemic of just murderous psychopaths. And it's like, violence overall is way the fuck down compared to previous decades. But it's like, when it gets whipped up in the media, you know, it makes it look like it's way worse than it actually is. But they want, with the gun thing, they want to whip it up and make it look like it's way worse than it actually is, because it's in the government's interest to limit the Second Amendment and control and implement gun controls on people. And that's, you know, one of the main instruments of control that a government will put over a population is controlling their personal right to own a firearm. And that's why, you know, those bad motherfuckers there that started the country put a little thing called the Second Amendment in the Constitution there. For your safety, ladies and gentlemen. Because that's one of the ways that a populace remains free and remains independent of a possibly tyrannical government over them, is having firearms. And people make fun of that. Oh, you're going to stop the government with your guns. Oh, well, there's strength in numbers. All right. So if there's 200 million people with guns and there's 10,000 people in the government, it doesn't matter how big the government's guns are. They're going to be a lot less likely to try to institute some tyrannical policies with a heavily armed populace. And that's why America is one of the few countries that's been able to maintain a semblance of a free market, is because, you know, we maintain a semblance of having a motherfucking gun on our hip, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a goddamn shame that there's not, you know, out here in California, there's not, you know, I mean, the gun laws are pretty fucked up. I wish I could have a goddamn concealed carry out here. You know, I probably couldn't even afford it. There's probably so many goddamn training regimens you got to go through. You got to, you know, you got to complete a mini golf course and, you know, go through the Ultimate Ninja Warrior fucking obstacle course and, you know, stay on a pogo stick for 45 minutes in order to, you know, get a government issued license in order to own a gun. You've got to prove your legitimacy as a person. We don't know if you're crazy or not. And they want to have these stipulations for mental illness, but nobody knows how to define what a mental illness is. Like, Kanye puts on a MAGA hat and people say he's mentally ill. It's like, same thing with hate. Like, don't be hateful. It's love versus hate. Hate crimes are on the rise. Like, hate is subjective. The same thing. It's the same thing. Hate is subjective. You know, like what some person defines as hate might be legitimate to somebody else. Is it bad to hate, you know, a serial killer? Is it bad to hate, you know, evil? Like, hatred has a place, you know, for really bad people who do really bad shit. We should hate those people. Never hate them, just love them. Oh. It's like, this is not this cookie cutter, like, you know, Hallmark card bullshit that's it doesn't apply for every situation. What was I going to say? Fucking hate is subjective. Oh, and mental illness. Mental illness is subjective too. Because people who are rational in an irrational world are always considered mentally ill. Like, I mean, critical thinkers are usually considered mentally ill by the mass sheep in society. Like, when I like, I've done, you know, I've gone on political shows out here in LA, and I've talked about how taxation is theft, and they look at me like I'm mentally ill when they're like, you know, all about the welfare state and redistributing wealth and Bernie Sanders and all this horse shit, AOC. And then I look at them and I'm like, no, well, taxation is a violation of the non-aggression principle. You're coercing people to give up their money and stealing property from people who produce things and giving it to people who don't know how to produce things and expecting that to produce some kind of equality in society. And really all it's doing is giving terrible incentives to people who actually want to accomplish things and giving money to people who are lazy and do nothing. And so it's a total dysgenics, misincentivized, like, central planning disaster. So I look at them, and just from a moral perspective, taxation is theft. And so I tell them that, and they look at me like I'm mentally ill. Yeah, they don't want equality, they want equity. It's equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. And that's the last thing the leftists want is a even playing field, which is what they say they want. But they don't want an even playing field because they don't know how to debate, and they're usually less competent on average because they're going with the stream of the mainstream. They're going with the mainstream ideas, and they're just accepting them uncritically versus people who want freedom. People here on the Federal Outrage Commune, ladies and gentlemen, we're going against the stream, and so we have to understand both sides of the argument. You have to understand the argument in order to be like, fuck that, I disagree with that. They just disagree with things on an emotional reaction basis, and are like, oh, that doesn't feel right to me, and so there's not even any rational evaluation of it. It's just offended, triggered. And that's the extent of their evaluation of the other side. And so they don't break down the arguments and understand the arguments. And it's the mark of an educated person to be able to entertain an idea in their head without accepting it. I think that's an Aristotle quote. But to entertain an idea without accepting it is the mark of an educated person. And you don't get that in the college system now. I mean, it's just it's kind of just a narrative that's pushed on you, and you're pushed to accept it. And you're shamed if you don't accept it. Versus playing out both sides of the argument and understanding both sides of the argument and then looking at the evidence and finding out what the truth is. We can't do that. We can't have a rational evaluation of the facts. Because then you might fall on the wrong side. Ooh, we wouldn't want that. We got all these Marxist professors in college who want to control the outcome. They want central planning. They want to be able to control the economy and manage things. Things need to be managed and regulated for my liking. Control freaks, dude. That's who runs the government. That's who runs the universities. Control freaks. They want to be able to dictate the narrative to you and have there be no dissent on either side. What's up, Risby? Says it is weird. It is all about the range of education or the actual ability to think critically. Yeah, it's to some degree genetic. It's the ability to have self-reflection and question yourself and realize when you have confirmation bias and when you might not be evaluating things rationally. And so the people who think that way, we don't really have to worry about them doing terrible shit most of the time because they're at least thinking about the moral questions. They're thinking philosophically. They're thinking scientifically. They're thinking how can I, optimize my way I'm acting in the world. But, the people that latch onto these narratives, it's just they're in a tunnel and they're just going and going and going. And anybody who tries to step in the path of that tunnel vision is they're just a demon. And it's they have to be destroyed, deplatformed. And I don't know. People are so off-put by opposing ideas. You can tell that they haven't been tested and exposed to opposing points of view. They've been in this bubble, passed through, primary school and elementary school and up through higher education. It's just this bubble of continuous nonsense. And then once they're exposed to actual thinking people, it's a shock to their central nervous system and they just freak the fuck out. They don't know how to deal with it because they haven't had that, natural contention back and forth, which is what a healthy education should be. It should be a discourse between differing points of view, and you see people hash it out in real time and talk it out and see who gets the best of who, and then you can make your evaluation for who made the best argument. But people on the left don't want that because they don't have to they don't have to have their viewpoint challenged in order to make it to the mainstream, because that viewpoint is promoted because it promotes the values that the establishment wants to promote. Goes along with the subversion narrative of the cultural Marxists, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, isn't it delicious to be subverted? Have your culture subverted by the communists? Have the genders and races and classes played off against each other while the government profits all along? Isn't it wonderful? We keep the public distracted on Twitter while we devalue the currency in the Federal Reserve. Ooh, and we keep all the profits for ourselves. What's up, alien? These soy latte Marxist cuckolds who never question the tunnel vision make me sick. No. Understand the literal vomit came into my mouth and swallowed it back down due to this bullshit. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad I'm triggering visceral reactions out there, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Don't drink the soy latte. As tempting as it is, Vanessa says the left has dominated the education system in order to indoctrinate kids with their ideology. Conservatives dropped the ball on that one. Yeah, my view is you got to homeschool, because a public school institution is always inevitably going to be corrupted, because it has to promote the establishment viewpoint because it's funded by the establishment. If the public school system actually taught philosophy and like critical thinking, they would have to teach some semblance of ethics, like, oh, theft is wrong. Oh, well, then the kids are going to think, well, what is taxation then? Is that, does that have any relevance to the conversation here? Seems like your salary, Miss Teacher, is funded through theft. I thought it was wrong. And so you can't, ask those fundamental questions. You have to stick to the Common Core narrative, okay? We're teaching the Common Core narrative. That means that people in society are really bad, and then the government comes in, and they're really good, and they fix society, okay? So we're funded by the government, so we're good, and we're going to teach you how to be good, and we're going to teach you how to not question the government, which is the foundation of being good. What's up, Con? Taxation is theft. You goddamn motherfucking right. But there are no ends to which the leftist mind will do mental gymnastics to avoid taxation being theft. They will say, well, your definition of theft is not what is the general consensus in society. And so the general consensus in society is what we should be. I mean, democracy is, consensus. Scientists agree. It's like, dude, your brain is like applesauce. Like, just pour your brain into a Tupperware and take it to lunch, all right? And spread it, on your white bread there and have your lunch, all right? Because that's what your brain is, and it's very sad. Yes, I don't think anybody should pay tax because it's against the non-aggression principle. It's a coercive act to put a gun to somebody's head and say you have to forcibly participate in a system. I think everything that the government claims to do could be accomplished voluntarily. Who's going to build the roads? Well, have you ever seen a congressman out jackhammering on the roads? You've ever seen Joe Biden with his fucking hard hat jiggling as he jackhammered the roads and then stopped to fondle a 12-year-old's titty and then went back to fixing the pothole, you know, that's not what happens. All right. The construction company is the one that does the construction on the roads. Yes, I'm an anarchist, Con. The the construction company does the construction on the roads. They build the buildings, they do it. And so we don't need the middleman of government to steal people's money and you know, give it to the construction companies, because it's like, if it's valuable for society to have those people constructing things, how about we just pay those people to construct things, and then we could have competition among the construction companies, and those who provide the best service for the lowest price would get the business, and then they would all compete for the business and prices would go down. But the government likes to hoodwink people in saying, this thing is really important for society, we need to do this thing, so we're going to do that thing. And then, like, no attention is paid to how the money is getting allocated. We're stealing the money in the first place and putting it toward this thing, but you're perverting the incentives for people to actually do a good job when you steal the money and fund a project through stolen money. It's like you're just taking random shots in the dark for what people want as an excuse for you to get power, versus actually having the market dictate what is needed and letting people vote with their dollars. That's how a rational society would run. But like, we've got these psychopathic, power addicted people who step in to the positions of power in the government, and they take all the credit for anything that goes well, and they pass off all the blame on, on capitalism for anything that goes bad. What's up, AJ? Glad to have you back. Yeah, I had a little, getting over a little cold, and then I had to fucking go out there and make some rent money, dude. I've been on this hustle game out here. So glad to be back. Yes, Testy, feel free to take all the credit for my channel. I will willingly give it all up, all right? Because I'm a man of the people, all right? I'm a man of the free market. I'm not a central planner. Although we do run this channel like the Federal Reserve. I am the Federal Outrage Chancellor. I am the official leader of the cult. And I would appreciate if you all go ahead and send your paychecks into me, and I will decide how much money you get back from your paychecks. And I would appreciate some private time with all of your wives. That would be nice once we get the compound built. That would be tremendous. Yeah, our roommate's doing all right. We're making it work out here. Yes, I'm the feudal lord. You all are to report to me, the Federal Outrage Chancellor. I have been elected. Although I do not require elections, I take power where I see it. I see the opportunity for power, I take it. I'm like a level of bureaucracy of my own. I'm like the EU. The people of Britain do not decide what happens. The EU is the dictator of reality. What's up, angry gun owner? I pay $12.50 for a goddamn studio out here in Hollywood, and that's the discount as the assistant manager here. That's the lovely discount I'm afforded. Thanks to my wonderful Jewish connections out here. I fool people with the nose, all right? They think, you know, I'm in the club, all right? That's my main weapon of deception out here is the Jewish-looking nose, all right? It's a must to succeed in Hollywood. All right, glad to have some regulars back in the chat. We're gonna get into some other. We can get into some other topics here real quick. Let me go tinkle real quick. The federal outrage chancellor, please rate his flow out of 10. I'm gonna finish this beer when I come back. I'm gonna read some comments. I'm gonna get another beer, ladies and gentlemen. We're going deep tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna get into more R. Kelly ridiculousness. I might talk about Kylie Jenner again. But yes, Testy, please rate the flow out of 10. I will let. This is the most disrespectful podcast on the planet, and this is part of the disrespect here. And it's disrespect that comes out of love, and I know you all feel that. And it's now time to feel the flow with the federal outrage chancellor, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the disrespect, it flows like natural light. What up, Kay Burgess? You all think he looks like a Jew? His green eyes, light brown hair. I am quite Aryan, you know. I am quite Aryan. The nose is not round enough. It's very pointy, you know. What got cringy at the end? My flow? Yeah, 1250 is pretty good. We worship our UN overlords, absolutely. Nothing is going to change. I think the government should strip Twitter of its immunity as a platform and force them to register as a publisher. Yeah, that's interesting. If they're going to take such an ideological slant with their policing there, then, you know, they're making a political stand, and so they should be held accountable as a publisher. I like that. I like that idea, Vanessa. Exactly, Con. No one else has a right to someone else's time and labor. It all extends from the fundamental principles of you own your own body. If you own your own body, which everybody accepts, because we accept that rape and assault and murder are illegal because you're violating somebody else's body. If you own your own body, all right, then you own your own actions. You control your own actions. That's free will 101. So, and that's why you get a paycheck. That's why, you know, your neighbor doesn't get the paycheck for the work you did. That's why, is because you own your own actions. You're held personally responsible for your own actions. All right? And so the time you put in and the labor you put in is part of that is stolen by the government, and they claim to have the right to do that for some propagandistic reason. What's up, Mr. Steven Johnson? We're just discussing the intricate philosophies of the modern world we live in. Tyrone deserves some of your check, all right? He's an oppressed minority, all right? He's in the oppressed class, and the left says that Tyrone can't survive without part of your paycheck, all right? Because they don't view Tyrone as fully human, and they need to help him out. And you need to help them out or you're racist. Okay? AJ says, I hate the idea of the government getting involved in anything. I'd rather see Twitter sued. It may be a slippery slope for the government. Yeah. I don't know what to do about the censorship thing. It's weird. I think people just have to call out the censorship and just make it apparent and make it stark and unavoidable. Because at some point, I don't know if there's going to be an alternative to Twitter that rises up, but yeah, how do we make Twitter bend to the will of the people? Because like it's such a ubiquitous platform that they got in right at the right time when the internet was blowing up and social media was blowing up, and so many people, you know, have built up their followings on Twitter, and they don't want to just abandon the platform. And it's hard to get people on board with another platform. I mean, it's so like embedded in the internet itself. And so it's like they have so much monopolistic power. It's like, how do you get them to change? It's plain and obvious they're not going to change. Like I saw some of the clips from the Joe Rogan thing. It's like they just pretend any criticism is some like subjective weird thing that somebody else is claiming, and they're just like, well, thanks for your feedback, we'll get back to you. And it's like, yeah, Gab is the alternative to Twitter, but it's like, I don't know. Can you really get people to go over to Gab? It's like Twitter's just so embedded. I just think you continue to exercise your free speech on Twitter and then show when they ban you for bullshit and make that public and make it a big show of when they ban you for bullshit. And so there will be an equal and opposite reaction to people getting banned for bullshit. And, you know, the social pressure will force them to change. Because they're in that leftist mind state. It's all this social shaming. Oh my God, he needs to apologize. Oh, you know. Gab now has a plug-in for you to comment anywhere online. Yeah. They must be regulated as a utility. I don't know. I like a more free market regulation. Like, you know, either creating a competing platform like Gab, or, you know, calling them out and boycotting and, like, you know, just doing mass call out campaigns of, like, you know, if you have a big following and you get banned for nonsense, you got people that go on there and call them out for it. It's got to be, I don't think the government is going to be able to step in and free speech trumps free market. I don't know what that means. I mean, free speech is a function of the free market. I don't know if is it the government's job to enforce free speech? I think it should be, you know, the public's responsibility to call out violations of free speech when it happens. You know, like support people like Owen Benjamin, or, you know, people that have been kicked off these social media platforms. Support Alex Jones. Like, anytime he goes on a platform like Joe Rogan, like the video, share the video, fucking buy shit from Alex Jones's store. Like, support these people, or like just put the ideas out yourself. You know, that's how you could support people. If you can't contribute money or fucking, you know, you could share links, spread links, and spread the ideas that they're promoting. And that way you can't kill an idea. Twitter can't kill an idea. They can silence certain individuals, but they can't kill the ideas of freedom and free markets and voluntarism. That's not going anywhere. They can't kill that idea because it's too powerful. It's too goddamn full of dragon energy. What are you saying isn't a valid argument, Joshua? I hear what you're saying. We should regulate. Let me get another beer and think about it. But do you really trust government bureaucrats to regulate anything effectively? They're going to find a way to fuck anything up, dude. The corporatist government is shutting down free access to the internet. Are they really? How are they shutting down free access to the internet? I still got access. They ain't shutting me down yet. They ain't shutting me down yet. Regretfully, all right, I'll wear it as a badge of honor when they do, all right? I haven't fully poked the social controllers effectively enough to get banned yet. I have been called a racist at open mics, so I'm doing something right. Yes, companies and government working together is not good. It always inevitably happens because in order to, be as competitive as you need to be in the marketplace, if you're a big multinational corporation and you're not working with the government, if you don't have a team of lobbyists, you're behind the curve. All right, and you're going to fall behind the other competitors that are. So when you have the big tempter of the government there in the room for the corporations to take advantage of, they're going to do it, and they have to do it because Amazon's not paying any tax. Netflix ain't paying no tax. So if you want to compete, you better lower that tax burden, baby. No matter how many leftist virtue signaling values you extol. Drinking milk is very racist, AJ. And you can see that in the How to Spot a White Supremacist sketch that we made. You can see me guzzling down some milk there. And quite racist. Quite racist. Kevin Bennett, the Crocodile Dundee, he spotted the white supremacist in the wild, and it turned out to just be me having a normal day at my apartment. Chocolate milk is not racist. That's true. It's very true. But if you put chocolate syrup in white milk, that's a little bit like blackface. That's getting toward racist. All right, because you're purposely darkening up your milk there, and that's disingenuous. That's some Al Jolson, all right, blackface shit, ladies and gentlemen. Don't put Hershey's chocolate syrup in your milk. All right, it's either real chocolate milk or it's not. Just don't say anything bad about AI, Pac. What is that? Al Jolson, baby. And Al Jolson was doing a tribute to, I think he had a bunch of black friends who were jazz musicians, and they couldn't get in the clubs because it was segregated. And so he was doing a tribute to his black friends going in blackface on stage, and that's what it originally was. But now it's been portrayed as this evil, racist thing. And it's like I haven't met a black person in real life that actually gives a fuck about blackface. It's only white liberals that are like, "Oh my god, burn him at the stake." And it's like nobody gives a fuck. Vanessa don't give a fuck. She's the resident bad motherfucker black woman. All right, she don't give a fuck, ladies and gentlemen. See, real motherfucker black people, they don't care. All right, they don't care about this, neurotic fucking weirdo like freak out white liberal like, oh my god, you're gonna hurt their feelings. Well, it turns out, it's harder to hurt black people's feelings than you think. And certain black people play it up like, oh my god, my feelings are hurt, because they know that there's a currency in victimhood. They know that they can get some shit out of it if they pretend to be extra offended. And so most of it is just media hype and nonsense. Like there's way less racial tension in reality than 90% of the media would have you think. Like, you meet people in real life and it's like, I mean, especially like growing up in the 90s, like there was way less of this bullshit going on. Like before Obama like broke everybody's brain because like he was such a terrible president, but you couldn't criticize him because he was the first black president. And so it was like, oh, you're racist if you criticize Obama. And so like, I think Obama was one of the big institutors in this whole like bringing back the race narrative. What up, unnamed source? But in the 90s when I grew up, like nobody even talked about race. Like I would go over to black friends' houses. Like this one of my black friends had a birthday party. I went over there. There was 30 fucking kids there. I was the only white kid there, and nobody brought the shit up. They weren't like, hey, the white boy's here. Fun is over. All right, he's come to oppress us. I just show up like, yes, load all the presents onto my mother's minivan. I have come to colonize the birthday party. You all work for me now. I'm the new leader of the colony. No, we just played, Sega Dreamcast, Ready to Rumble boxing, all right? And I whipped every one of them black kids' ass with a black character in the video game, all right? And nobody said, oh my god, that's cultural appropriation. How dare you? You need to choose a white character. Nobody gave a fuck. I chose the black character with the big black afro, and I whooped all their asses, And then we took a football and went outside, and they got their revenge. All right? We ate, and then we all ate birthday cake, and this shit was fun. All right, and nobody gave a fuck, where the frosting was or what color the cake was. There was black cake, there's chocolate cake, and then there's vanilla frosting. Is that some kind of white supremacy message you trying to send there? We just ate the cake. All right, we had a good fucking time. Nobody cared what skin color you were. One of the things I remember about my black friends back in Oklahoma, they could roll up a tight fucking blunt, dude. That blunt would be like a strand of hair, bruh. They would fucking roll that fucking. It was like an incense stick. It's like, bruh, how the fuck you got them fucking tight ass blunt rolling fingers, dude? Yeah, Obama broke it because, he was so objectively terrible. Like, I've done this on a podcast before. Let's just briefly run down the catastrophic disasters under Obama. Bailing out the big banks, the same banks that financed his campaign. Number one. The whole NSA spying fiasco. And then saying in his campaign that he was going to, support whistleblowers. And then when the NSA thing dropped, Oh, turns out we're going after Edward Snowden. He's the big villain. So we're going after the whistleblowers. Supporting ISIS. Funding, arming, and training ISIS and Al Qaeda in the Middle East, in Syria and Libya. Collapsing both those countries. Pretending like they're the rebels. The rebel groups. When you're literally funding, arming, and training ISIS. What else? The Indefinite Detention Act, where you can detain American citizens indefinitely. There's like 3 other things I'm not thinking of right now. Oh, the drone program that was a big secret. Oh, turns out we're just droning civilians in mass. Whoops, we forgot to tell you about that. Oh yeah, and then the constant, never-ending war. Every day of his presidency, we're always at war. And then doubling the national debt in 8 years. Going from 10 trillion to 20 trillion in debt. Can't criticize him. Milk chocolate skin. The slickster salesman of communism. You didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. Okay. Donald Trump thinks he's going to be president. Maybe in a Saturday night skit. And Trump was like, all right, we'll see, motherfucker. We'll see. But, you know, a lot of black people didn't want to admit that Obama was a total failure. And I know that's hard to admit, being he's the first black president and was a big achievement for black culture to have reached those heights in society. And that in general was a good thing. Obama as an individual was terrible. He was a total fake, total sellout, communist, beta, who's married to a trans woman. That was what Obama fundamentally was as an individual, but as a black man being president, it was important. And so there's a big conflict there with you know, what's true and what's important for racial relations in general. It must be tough for genuine Mexican-American patriots. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Mexican people don't agree with this whole, like, open borders horse shit. Because a lot of them came across the border legally. They went through the legal process to get through and assimilated to American culture and are proud of American values. And that's why they came to the country, is for American values and freedom and the whole, the Constitution and everything. But as soon as you start letting these illegals come in, it's like it throws a pile of shit in those people's faces and be like, why'd you even do that? You could have just came across. Who gives a fuck? It's like, you should have just came across and got on welfare and sent the money back to your family in Mexico. Why didn't you do that? What are you, stupid? And so, yeah, it's a big fuck you to the legal immigrants. Who are you talking to, Burgess? Me? What the fuck do I want? I want, we are the last surviving superpower. The conflict is simple. If we are everywhere, we must be trying to take over the world. If we aren't there, we don't care. Oh, yeah. I hate that whole thing of like, oh my God, there's an evil dictator 10,000 miles away. We have to stop him. And it's like, it's this whole military industrial complex where they're connected to the companies that you know, create the resources that are used in these military expeditions. They create the bullets, they create the treads that go on tanks, they create the metal that goes in the Kevlar vests of the soldiers, and they create the fucking all this shit. And they're shilling for these people that create all this shit just to make more money. Just to make more money. It's like, you know how much richer the country would be if we just brought everybody home, got rid of all those fucking military bases across the world, and just defended our borders, and just had free market capitalism here, it would be opulent wealth fucking everywhere. And everybody would be trying to emulate America. But instead, we go over and try to enforce our way of life down the barrel of a gun and make people be like us. Which, that's the narrative. I don't even think that's what they're actually trying to do. Make people more like us in the Middle East. That's like a fucking opium pipe dream. It's like it's like a hallucination that George Bush had. We're going to bring democracy to the Middle East. It's like, no, you have to lead by example. You can't lead through the barrel of a gun. Because human nature, whatever you try to force somebody to do, they're going to try to do the opposite. And it never works. That's why government always achieves the opposite ends of what its stated goals are. Oh, we have a war on poverty? We've been fighting it for 50 years. We put $20+ trillion into it. Poverty's gone down less than 2%. Oh, that seems to be a limited return on investment there. As a poker player, I would want to sit down and play with those people for hours on end who have a return on investment like that. Let me play with the military-industrial complex at my table, dude. I will rake in all the chips. But yeah, you can't force people to make good decisions. You can't force people to have a constitution. You can't force people to have free market capitalism. They just got to realize the value of it and institute it themselves. You know? But don't tell that to the military-industrial complex. Don't tell that to John Bolton. He wants to go into Venezuela because that evil dictator Maduro, oh my God, we've got to go fix all their problems. How about America's problems? We're $20+ trillion in debt. Ooh, I just fucking swatted a gnat. How you like that for some dragon energy, baby? I'm on that ninja shit at 1:33 in the morning here on the West Coast. God damn it, I just swatted a gnat out of the fucking air. How you like me now? God damn it. How you like me, military-industrial complex? That's efficiency. Yeah, Kay Burgess doesn't rape his girlfriend, so we shouldn't rape Venezuela. All right? It's pretty simple. All right? Voluntarism. But that's why you see all this rapey stuff coming out of Hollywood, because the left isn't into consent. They're not big on consent. All right? The CEO of Warner Brothers there. All right? No, I mean, you know, these girls are out here fucking for movie roles, but, you know. Apparently Harvey Weinstein did some raping. That's the word on the street, ladies and gentlemen. But anybody who's into big government isn't into consent. Because then you have to actually make an argument. You have to actually make sense. You have to be able to win the debate. You have to have data to back up what you're saying. You know, the climate change people just want to say, this is true. Pay taxes for it. It's like, you gotta show me some data there, sir. Some data. And these people who claim to be rational, these leftists out here in Hollywood, they're like, oh my God, climate change. And I'm like, show me one piece of data that proves there's going to be cataclysmic climate disasters based on the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere. And they can't do it. They're just like, oh my God, science, are you a denier? And it's like, the fuck does that mean? Like, yeah, I'm an atheist who was raised Catholic. I know what denier means. I know what type of language that is. You're in a fucking cult. and you don't have any data, you don't have any arguments, you don't have any fucking rationality behind anything you're saying. You're just trying to fucking get me to conform to your line of thinking. Because you're like, it's all this appeal to authority. Oh, science. Oh my God. Ugh. You know what science is? Science is data based. It's empirically based. It's based on experimentation and hypothesis and theory. Do you have data for me? No? You just have some computer models. All right, so reality is based on virtual reality, I guess. If virtual reality is reality, whenever I watch porn, I'm getting my dick sucked by 3 chicks at one time. That's reality. That's what I expected. Burgess says lots of people care about global warming, but what about pollution? I have a patch of plastic waste 2 times the size of Texas in the Pacific. Is that real? I heard that wasn't real. The Pacific garbage patch. I don't know. It might be real. But pollution can be regulated by the free market. We don't have to have government come in and be like, oh my God, you're polluting. It's like if people privately own stretches of land, they will inherently not want it to be polluted and destroyed. Because if people are making money off of owning and operating a piece of land, then it's inherently in their self-interest to not have it be polluted. And so people that have these ideas that uninhibited corporations are just going to dump toxic shit in the rivers and like just destroy everything, and it's not reality. It's a scare story that's put on people, an excuse for more government power over corporations. It's not real. Like pollution, there's no long-term profit in polluting. You're just destroying the same environment you use for your profit model. And so it's Burgess says, I'm not a big enviro guy. I'm not, but it's like no one seems to care about pollution. It's all global warming now. Yeah, it's also abstract. It's not even global warming anymore. It's climate change. Ooh, climate change. Ooh, the climate is changing in some nebulous way, and it must be stopped. There's no like practical solution to it. It's just like it's like a political talking point at this point. Yeah, it's just a power grab. Vanessa's right on the money. What the hell's is here for a good time? He's drunk. That's what I like, Doug. We're just here rocking it out, ladies and gentlemen, saying what we think. What's up, Ethan Cox? Dude, I don't expect anything, bruh. If you disagree, come at me with it, baby. We don't have no doctrines here. We don't have no indoctrinations. We just got arguments, and we got balls, and we got heart, ladies and gentlemen. We got some liquid nicotine, all right? Pumping right into our lungs, God damn it. I ain't ashamed of it. That's that dragon energy, son. Come at me. All right? Check my Twitter. Well, I can't right now. I'm streaming on the phone. Unnamed source, but I will after. At I am Nick Jordan on Twitter if you want to follow me. I'll post up the highlights from the podcast. Stand-up clips occasionally. I'm trying to get that daily content hit out there and spread the word. Spread the word of rationality and critical thinking. Khan says it's global cooling. No, I mean global warming. No, the climate is changing. No, we have to stop this from happening. Oh my God. Bill Nye just, he wants to distract you with the climate while he, gets your 3-year-old alone in a room and tries to convince them to change their gender. Bill Nye, the definitely not a creep pedophile guy. All right, get some sleep. What the hell's? He's too drunk. Kids, remember, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Well, yeah, that lets you drink a lot more. I appreciate you hanging out while you could. What the hell's is a champion? Angry gun owner says corporations lobby Washington to fool the public with cherry-picked studies. Yeah, I mean... Oh, what's up, DK? Thanks for the little contribution there. Yeah, baby, Patriots for America, even though you spell Patriots wrong. I like it. Hashtagging. Thank you, sir. Yeah, dude, we're trying to take back the Patriot movement. It's really about freedom. It's not about this neocon horseshit, worshiping the flag for no reason, and worshiping the military for no reason. And, it's about voluntarism and not having the government steal people's money and redistribute money to people that aren't earning it. We were talking about the Twitter censorship a little bit earlier. I think the Rogan podcast is good. I think there's a little bit of a conflict of interest because Rogan, the Cash App is a subsidiary of Twitter, which advertises on his podcast. But he did bring Jack on there to get grilled by Tim Pool. I don't know. I think it's blatantly obvious that there's bias in who they censor on Twitter, and there's a blatant leftist spin that's kind of written off as just normalization. Like, oh, this is how things are. You shouldn't misgender people. It's very offensive. And it's like, we don't even know if transgender people are mentally ill or if there's really something called gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate thing that people are doing. Like, it's open to debate whether or not it's just straight up mental illness and these people need fucking hospitalization or if it's like, a legitimate thing happening in society. And so it's like, for them to take a stance on that is so fucking weird and so obviously partisan. I don't know if Joe Rogan's on the payroll. I just think he was indoctrinated in leftism from a very early age. He apparently had really hippie parents, and a lot of his formative years came up in San Francisco. And he grew up in an era where, like, a lot of the big cultural icons, especially comedians, were making fun of the religious right, who were censoring language and sexuality. And so, like, there was a reaction to that was, legitimate, which was like one of the legitimate factions of the hippie movement of the 60s was like, you shouldn't censor, language and sexuality to that extent. It's very, you're inhibiting creative expression to an extent. But the pendulum has swung so far the other way to where it's like now like that's the whole Me Too movement is like people don't know how to negotiate sexuality, especially in the workforce. They don't know how to navigate those situations effectively without offending people and without harassment allegations or, you know, and so all these things are being negotiated in public. And so the pendulum has swung the other way to where it's like now sexuality is not taboo at all. Like porn is 90% of the internet. You can look up gangbangs right now on the internet, live in HD. It's going on right now. And I live right next to West Hollywood. So like if we quiet down for a little bit, you can hear gay dudes fucking. All right? So there's no like homosexuality is mainstream. It's accepted now. They've gotten everything they wanted out of the, you know, equality movement of being accepted in society. But now they're pushing it so far to where it's like, oh my God, transgenderism, that has to be accepted. And, you know, pedophilia isn't that bad. And like all this insane shit that they pushed after that. And the pendulum has just swung way too fucking far. And now it's like censorship the other way. The left is censoring, you know, everything that's not degenerate. Everything that's wholesome is being censored. you know, any pushback to the cultural subversion narrative is like viewed as like Nazism. Like if you just want to have a normal family, you're a Nazi. And a lot of it is feminism too. Yeah, you're right, AJ. A lot of it is feminism too. Because there's a lot of resentful women that didn't have families. And so they universalize the men in their life who are just using them for pussy. And they paint all men as these evil people. And they're miserable because they've, you know, traded in the family life for a work life. And, you know, they're finding it hard to compete with men. And so they have to blame men for everything going wrong in their life. So, Joe Rogan is a product of his time. What's up, anti-globularist? I don't have many thoughts on the flat earth because I can't prove it either way. I just go with, you know, the simplest explanation, which is that NASA hasn't faked every single photo of the planet and that it's actually a globe. And that there isn't some massive planetary conspiracy to prove to everybody that it's not a globe. And, but yeah, Joe Rogan is a product of his time, and, you know, the religious right was the censorship of his time, and so he's still super skeptical of the religious right. And so that's how he thinks. So, what are your thoughts on 9/11? 9/11, I think it was a legitimate. I think it was pulled off by, you know, Bin Laden and the Saudis. I think that was legit, and I think our government took advantage of that to, you know, enrich the military-industrial complex and start a big giant war that could never be ended. And they saw an opportunity to have a never-ending war against an idea called terrorism that can never be defeated. And so they saw an opportunity for a never-ending profit stream for the military-industrial complex, and they jumped on it. I don't think it was necessarily an inside job. I think there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that points to that, but there's nothing definitive. And whenever there's nothing definitive, I am very skeptical. So I just look at the incentive structures in place that the government takes advantage of a big disaster like that and jumps on it, and they're like, oh, we can profit off of this never endingly through the military industrial complex. And so they did that. But yeah, I don't think there's you can't claim definitively that it was an inside job or whatever. Yeah, bombs were planted inside in advance. Firefighters saying shit was blowing up. Um, I don't know. I just can't get on board with the whole predetermined inside job thing because it's so they wouldn't have to go that far to start a war. If all they wanted was to start a war, then they wouldn't have to go that far. They would just do what they're kind of doing now. Oh my God, that dictator is evil over there. We got to have regime change, and it's a humanitarian crisis, and we've got to do something. And it's our imperative to spread democracy. That's all they have to do. All they have to do is create a villain. And it's what they've done for hundreds of years. They just create a villain and then say, oh my God, they're threatening us. We have to defeat them, and go over and do that. They wouldn't have to bring down the Twin Towers and kill 3,000 plus Americans in order to sell a war. I mean, you can sell a war pretty easily if you have control over the mainstream media and control of the narrative in order to demonize people over there and dehumanize them and convince people to go to war. I mean, it's not that hard. You wouldn't have to have this big conspiracy where you kill thousands of Americans. I don't think they're that devious necessarily. I think it was a legitimate terrorist attack that was capitalized on by the military and industrial complex. Let's see. Does Trump have an alibi for 9/11? Any topics off limits at the comedy clubs? Let's see what the main taboos are. What are the main taboos? Any pushback on the idea that white people are privileged or that Trump supporters are racist is really taboo right now. So I talk about that a lot. Let's see, what else is taboo? Making fun of feminists. I don't know, that's a little more accepted. What's really taboo? Abortion is really taboo. I probably should write something about abortion because I don't know, people out here in Hollywood just make all the justifications in the world for it. Yeah, really, race issues. It's why I talk about race all the time on stage, just because it's the most fun, like, taboo to poke at. And so you can please go and watch the stand-up clip I posted on the channel here called "Voted for Obama and Trump," is because I broke people's brains with this premise that I voted for Obama and Trump, and people are like, how did you get so racist over 8 years? It's like, oh, when he bailed out the big banks, the same banks that financed his campaign. Then I started to, is it the blacks or is he just one bad egg? Go and watch the bit though. Please like it and share it out. It was weird. That video had like over 50 likes, and then I checked it the next day and it had 30 likes. Like, somehow the likes fucking decreased by almost half. I was like, what the fuck happened to the video? Thanks, DK. You a bad motherfucker. Glad to have you on the team. I try to go live, every night here, chilling out with you all. Usually I'll get home from the comedy club and come home and have a couple beers with y'all and go live. I've been out getting that rent money these past few days, making it happen. Getting over a little cold here. But, that's my goal, is to go live every night with you bad motherfuckers out here. Skeezer says, I hate how you can't call stuff gay anymore. Yeah, you can call it gay. It's almost making a comeback. Like the word faggot is making a comeback, and calling shit gay is making a comeback just because it's like it's taboo. I made fun of retards at one point. Um, Favorite comedians, I'll get to that in a second. But I made fun of retards. This got a big laugh on stage the other day. I was talking about people always say that the number one, criticism of Trump is that he's an idiot. He's a moron, And so I'm like, oh, okay. It's obviously bullshit. I mean, he went to Wharton Business School. He's wildly successful in the New York real estate industry. You got to be super fucking wicked smart to accomplish what he's accomplished in his life. He's obviously a fucking genius. But that's the leftist criticism of Trump, is that he's an idiot, he's a moron, he's a dumbass. And so I'm like, on stage, I'm like, oh, well, let's assume that's true. Let's look at the positive aspects of that. Trump has inspired more morons than anybody in the history of the world. I mean, he's inspiring degenerate mongoloids all across the country. All right? They're like, I'm going to be a president too. I'm going to be a billionaire and fuck porn stars. And they're sitting around the lunch table hanging out with each other because on the same IQ wavelength, they're hanging out at lunchtime at school. And they're like, I'm going to be a billionaire president too. He's doing for morons what Obama did for black people. All right? He's giving them something to aspire to, I'm going to grab a pussy too. Yeah, dude, you get it, skeezer. Yo, Bill Burr is one of the best out right now, but he is kind of, he's bought into, the narrative that white people are privileged, and, that slavery is some uniquely white person evil that was committed in history, and that we committed a Native American genocide. And he's got this white guilt complex that's reinforced by his feminist wife that he married, not murdered. Favorite comedians, though, Vanessa? Bill Hicks, number one, first and foremost. George Carlin, obviously. Doug Stanhope, obviously. Bill Hicks is number one, though, because he really resonates with me, being, he's from Texas, I'm from Oklahoma, and I don't know, it's something about him. He's just real connected to reality, and based and philosophical, and real outspoken and confident, and he was a bad motherfucker, Bill Hicks. Patrice O'Neal, legend. Patrice O'Neal is one of the most, underappreciated, all-time legendary comics. Just so fucking philosophically poignant and also hilarious at the same time. Elephant in the Room is classic as fuck, dude. And all of his appearances on Opie and Anthony are fucking gold. Go back and listen to that shit. Man, he was just a diamond in the rough. The whole Black Phillip show taught me a lot about women. Bitch management, as it were. But yeah, he inspires me just with his honesty, and with his shit talking, and with his unapologetic dedication to the truth. He's one of the only he's pretty much Chappelle a little bit, but Patrice, in just his dedication to philosophy and the truth, supreme. supreme as far as black comics, and also being just side-splittingly fucking hilarious. Um, Real quick, DK gave me another $2. You bad motherfucker. Any thoughts on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She's a socialist moron. She's an economic retard, and she's a product of the millennial generation that, were so, privileged as Americans that they didn't have any necessity to study economics and really understand how the shit works. So she's a product of the times, product of the idiocy of the times, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm glad that she's out there, and I'm glad that she's leading the left ideologically, because that means Trump is going to win in 2020. And the most Trump-like candidate is probably going to win in 2024. And she's going to have that strong of a legacy as far as idiocy on the left, and as far as they're bending to her will and whatnot. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I've drank enough booze for tonight. I'm starting to get hoarse. Sounds like my roommate's coming in. I'll probably shut it down for tonight. I'm glad you bad motherfuckers were hanging out with me. Thanks for hanging out. I'll probably be back tomorrow night, rocking it out with y'all. And like the stream if you like it. Share it out. If you want to share the ideas, baby. Follow me on Instagram at Nick Jordan himself. Follow me on Twitter at I am Nick Jordan. Bitcoin address below if you want to send me some shekels. Share out the stand-up comedy clips. I'm going to be sharing more shit with you. Coming in here and rocking it out. Glad to have the new people on the stream. And I love you, beautiful bad motherfuckers. The full podcast audio will be shared out on all the podcast apps under Outrage Cast, all one word. You can follow it around and while you're doing your goddamn work, while you're doing your chores in the day, and listen to me in the headphones, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Outrage TV, the Federal Outrage Chancellor, signing off for tonight. It's a vibe, ladies and gentlemen, and you get it. You feel it. You feel the love, and I feel that you feel it, baby. So Outrage TV signing off for tonight. Nick Jordan. I love you bad motherfuckers.